House Republicans have decided to move forward with legislation against the Chinese-owned app TikTok this week. Lawmakers are worried about American data falling into the hands of the Chinese government and the app possibly being used to promote pro-Beijing propaganda and misinformation. But still, some Democrats don't think the app should be banned, like social media-loving Congresswoman, you know who I'm about to say, Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez. Watch her defend TikTok on TikTok.
Do I believe TikTok should be banned? No. To me, the solution here is not to ban an individual company, but to actually protect Americans from this kind of egregious data harvesting. And usually when the United States is proposing a very major move that has something to do with significant risk to national security, one of the first things that happens is that Congress receives a classified briefing. And I can tell you that Congress has not received a classified briefing. Why would we be proposing a ban regarding such a significant issue without being clued in on this at all? It just doesn't feel right.
Kevin, you know, Congressman McCall analogized TikTok to a spy balloon that made its way onto millions of American phones. Your thoughts?
You know, I look at it this way. I think now it's clear that we're in a competition with China on an economic basis. And they have mistreated us now for about 25 years, in my view. I've been doing business there a long time. They don't play by the rules. And so all I'm suggesting, including TikTok, is let's have a reciprocal deal. Treat them the way they treat us. You didn't let Amazon grow in China. You knocked it off with Alibaba. The first ride-sharing idea, Uber, you didn't let it grow in China. There's no Google in China. You shut off Twitter in China. How about this deal? We're turning off TikTok in the United States of America because you did it to all our social media, not because they're bad people if you want to keep it politically clean, because that's your policy and we're adopting it here too. It's like playing a football game where one side is tilted and they don't have to play by the rules. Time to make the Chinese play by the rules. We're agreeing it's reciprocal. Now, the way to solve the problem today is to simply sell 51% of it to an American entity with the guarantee to Congress that all the servers are stateside.
Oh,
the actual logistics is here. Everybody gets to stay on TikTok, including AOC. She can keep putting out that propaganda there. That's not a problem. You know, I think she's a very popular politician and she's successful. I don't agree on her policy, but I don't want to shut her voice down. That's not what we do here in America. But what I do want to shut down is this data leaving the servers of TikTok, allegedly, and going to a competing economy, particularly one that doesn't play by the rules. Now, the way I look at it, to make it simple for everybody to understand, and this is what I'm endorsing, China understands the stick. When you negotiate with them, they respect the stick. They want the stick. Let's give them the stick. It's that simple. Agnostic to party, this is policy. The China stick, and you will see they will respect it because they need our economy in a very big way. They respect the stick. Let's give them the stick.
All right, let's go to foreign policy. No, just kidding.
No.
I'm ready to move with you now.
So
let's
smart.
go.
Yes. No, Harris, your thoughts?
Well, I tell you, that is such a brilliant idea because, as you said, the politics are clean of it. That gets everybody on board. And maybe AOC could understand the benefits of protecting our intellectual property, of not having our children manipulated on that platform. The algorithms on TikTok are set very differently than they are in other countries. They're not just targeting our young people, but they're getting certain messages, certain kinds of self-esteem messages, certain things that really mess up those younger generations. If those servers are sitting here, how much difference does that make in terms of the algorithms and all of that?
No, it's total control, 51%. I mean, we weren't allowed to give them Google. They don't let us do Twitter. I said that earlier. Same thing here. You want to keep it? Be a 49% shareholder. We'll keep you posted every quarter like any other shareholder, but 100% of the policy is right here stateside, including the physical location of the servers and all the technology. And let it be an open cry auction so that the Chinese don't get a bad deal. It's worth something. All the other social media companies will bid on it, but it's 51% USA. That's the deal. They did the same thing to us in China. Welcome to the new flat playing field. Now let's play football.
Would you buy it?
Yeah, of course. I'd love to.
But to do that, you got to take politics out of it, Emily. And there's political realities here. We'll put up, there's 150 million TikTok users. Take a look. 138 million of them are voting age. The remaining 12 million, some will become of voting age. Secretary Gina Raimondo of the Biden administration had this to say: the politician in me thinks you're going to literally lose every voter under 35 forever. And then you have Democrat Congressman Jamal Bowman. Well, he has this to say. Take a listen.
150 million Americans, many of them young people, many of them tend to lean Democratic. So if the Democratic Party is a part of shutting down a platform that they have used to build community and to be in a space where they are often accepted and connected with others, in a space where they don't get that on Facebook or Twitter or Instagram, it can harm us politically in 2024.
Yeah, for Representative Bowman to talk about, the votes he can curry and the harm it can affect them politically, for AOC to sit there and say, yeah, something doesn't sit right, to me is laughable. As Representative Bowman was flanked by the 30 lobbyists that TikTok paid to lobby around Congress the other day, the fact that AOC was one of the recipients of the $150,000 that ByteDance donated to the Congressional Black Caucus Foundation and the Congressional Hispanic Caucus Foundation. It's very clear that they are just parroting what the money is telling them to. I'm worried, and my information goes a lot deeper than that, because I am aware of the 2017 law that the CCP requires every single private citizen and every single business to share data. I agree with you, Harris, that it goes sort of in that deeper level, as Representative Waltz pointed out, that beyond the exfiltration of data, it also includes control of the algorithm.
Yeah.
It acknowledges the fact that they have a billion internet users in China, so that they can levy that and use that as this perfect petri dish to foster their perfect fruit and then drop it off in hungry Americans' arms, where 16% of all teens say they use that app almost constantly. Wow. There is an absolute dearth here of parental involvement and of leadership and of seeing the forest for the trees, which is that China, the CCP, has been at war with us for a long time in the realm of technology, in the realm of education, in the realm of control of propaganda, of narratives, of that social influence that has such a big impact on us economically and more. So I hope these congressional leaders will wake up, but I'm not holding my breath.
Dr. Sapphire, take a quick listen to John Kirby on Biden's use of TikTok.
We showed a video in that last segment of the president on TikTok from a video shot by a celebrity inside the White House. So for the 150 million Americans who still use this app, how do you say to them, sorry, we're going to take it away?
It's not on government.
It looks hypocritical.
It's not on government devices. We do have legitimate national security concerns. We have legitimate national security concerns over TikTok.
It's a useful political platform.
I just would tell you that, again, that our concerns on the national security front are valid.
I mean, it really is just a slap in the face. The Biden administration continues to laugh when we bring up security issues when it comes to our national security, and this is no different. I'm going to say something that people may laugh at, but I actually agree with AOC in her message in that video she sent. I think she sounds like a spoiled brat in the way she did it by going on TikTok to talk about TikTok. I would have rather see it in a professional news conference or in front of Congress to talk about there are some security issues when it comes to TikTok, but to completely eradicate and ban the use of it is something more in parallel to what the CCP would do. Kevin has demonstrated that there are ways to make sure that the security issues that we have with TikTok can be brought under control. So if you focus on that, then you could potentially keep TikTok. But I want to say one thing as a mother, as a physician, we have a huge issue here when it comes to social media, not just TikTok. They are dumbing down an entire generation. They're targeting our children. Mental illness is on the rise, eating disorders and other things, and they are doing this intentionally, and they are breeding this very weak and vulnerable generation, and this will take us generations to get out of it if we don't do something about it.
No doubt about that, as children in China watch videos on patriotism. That's what they see on TikTok.
Hey everyone, I'm Emily Campagno. Catch me and my co-hosts Harris Faulkner and Kaylee McEnany on Outnumbered every weekday at 12 p.m. Eastern, or set your DVR. Also, don't forget to subscribe to the Fox News YouTube page for daily highlights.